I'm gonna tell you like this. Whatever we talk about, it's fair game. It don't matter to me. I'm probably not gonna tell you to edit out. I'll tell you to edit nothing and just go forward. To me, it doesn't matter. You know, if you want to edit something, that's fine. As long as you don't put words in my mouth, I don't have a problem, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's get started. I'm gonna start off here. Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Lim Lee. I'm your host. I'm Liem. I'm a software engineer. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all the major platforms. And my sidekick is
Emmett Morgan, Las Vegas realtor. And we are excited to have a really cool guy on today. This is Frank Cuesta. You are joining us from Miami. Tell us about yourself, Frank. What's going on?
Well, let's see. I have my own podcast called Speaking It Real. You know, we're every Wednesday and Fridays at 9 p.m. via Facebook, YouTube, Apple, pretty much wherever you get all your podcasts. You know, we're there. Then, I'm actually podcasting is my side gig. You know, I also do logistics where I move cargo all over the world. You know, I was born and raised in Miami, Cuban parents, So,
awesome.
Yes. So what do you guys have on tap for me today?
Do you know Pitbull?
No, unfortunately, I don't know Pitbull.
I actually love Pitbull, man. He has so much good energy. Seriously,
He's positive, dude.
So positive. I really like the topic that we actually happened to end on from your show and then started into my show, which was kind of learning from each other, talking, having respect for each other. Something that I mentioned to you before we started your show is I think Emmett is center right. I'm center left. We have different views, and yet we're able to respect each other, have a conversation, and share perspectives. And you mentioned you're probably more center, and then Carlos is probably more right. And yes. So as we were talking about that, I just maybe if we want to just talk about that for a bit.
Or politics right out the gate.
Burn
it down.
Speaking it real.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but look, speaking it real, we got started pretty much when Trump lost the election.
Oh.
Okay.
A little background on my end. Back in 2016, I voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. This time around, I did not vote for Trump.
Oh, okay. So in his years in office, you were unhappy with his presidency.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. I wasn't happy with the way everything with him was going around.
Yeah.
But I remember that back in 2016, I had put a post where where the Democrats weren't giving him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, hey, look, give this guy a chance. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And if he's not available, not available. If it doesn't work out,
mm-hmm.
we vote him out in 4 years.
Yeah.
So when he lost the election, everybody was going nuts. All these Republicans were going crazy. Oh no, he won, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. And I get it. Nobody wants to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But why are you acting like the Democrats did in 2016, not giving him a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Let's give Joe Biden a chance. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. So you weren't happy with Trump's presidency. What would have made you happy? What could he have accomplished in those 4 years that would have made you say, you know what, I like what he did. I want to vote for him again. What could he have done differently?
It's funny because I had this conversation not that long ago.
Okay.
It wasn't. I think my biggest issue with him was his mouth.
Mm.
I think that he did some good for the country.
Mm-hmm.
We were on that upper trend.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that his arrogance and his mouth and the way he just said things is what really did me in. I think that to be the president or to run or to be in politics in general, you do have to play the politics game. You do have to say the right things. You have to speak correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because you don't agree with something doesn't mean it's fake. Doesn't mean it's not right. It's not real. You know, and that to me is what really got me about him. You know, hey, you know, when he lost the election, dude, just accept defeat. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's what really did me with it. Nothing.
Gotcha.
Is there anything, just out of curiosity, is there anything that Trump could have done to win you over at all, Emmett?
I mean, I was never a big Trump fan. It would have been a lot. I mean, if he had somehow surprisingly stepped into the office of president and did a great job with foreign affairs and dealing with other countries and addressing real problems, right? If he said, hey, look, there's some problems with healthcare. Let's do some things to fix healthcare, right? Let's help some more Americans do this, right? You know, how do we, hey, there's a problem with the universities, costs $100,000 to get a bullshit degree, and these kids come out with all this debt and no jobs. So what can we do to fix our higher education system, and how can we make more vocational training and get more people into high-paying jobs? If you'd address those kind of things on a nationwide scale, you know, how can I incentivize states to move closer to these beneficial goals for our people? You know, it sounds real simple, because I know when you get to that level of power, then you do have to play that politics game, right? You also have to get Congress to buy into whatever you're pushing. And I think the president is almost a figurehead position where you're not writing the laws yourself, but you got to find ways to pull strings and move power. So if he had been super effective at getting Congress to do great things for our people, that would have been fantastic. You know, I'd love that. Why not, right?
Right.
So you said speaking at Real started around the Trump, the end of the Trump era?
Right after, about a month or so after the elections.
And how did that kind of come about, or how does that intertwine? Did it have an effect on you guys pushing your start?
No. What happened was that I go back to the posts that I put on Facebook, and I started getting a lot of people commenting. Some people were like, "Hey, yeah, you're right," you know. And then Carlos, my co-host, started pointing out different things, and he was like, "Hey, wait a minute, you do podcasts?" Because I was already doing a podcast already.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing a wrestling podcast that I'm part of, and so Carlos was like, "I have a mic. I got a computer. I want to get my voice out there." And I was, you know, at that point, I'm messaging Carlos privately. I'm like, "Hey, look, this is the deal. What do you want to do?" I called him up, and I'm like, I could probably get us into a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about just politics?
Yeah. How would you describe your show? Is it a political show or what?
Well, not completely. You know, we do. I think it's more of a social issue, social event show. You know,
okay.
more than what, you know, politics really is. I mean, we cover politics. We do. You know, we.
Can I jump in? I'll do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, and or if you dislike my words, feel free to cut me off. What attracted me to Speaking It Real through Reddit and whatnot, I found them, and I kind of looked at I listened to a few of their podcasts, and the way I saw it was kind of like current events with news, reacting to it. So reaction to that, but putting your opinion to it. And the thing that I liked about it, because Frank and Carlos were putting their spin on it in the sense of there's my tongue's tied. Intelligent responses on the topic. So that's what.
Okay.
So that's what attracted me to it.
And that's pretty much what it is. You know, we'll find a topic, whether it's COVID, whether it's, I mean, we had one on Friday that it's, you know, one of these oh my God stories where the guy was swallowed by a whale and spit out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. We put it out there, we give our twist to it, and then we're like, I think this was fake.
Yeah.
At the end of it. You know, so, you know, we give our take on what the stories are. It doesn't matter what it is. We're gonna give you our opinions, and obviously, majority of the times when we're giving you our opinion is okay. We've seen the story, we've looked at it. Okay, this is what I think.
Yeah.
And whether Carlos and I agree with each other, fine. We don't agree, fine.
Yeah.
There's that found respect for our opinions, which what happens is nowadays that is lost. Talking is a lost art, and that's the way that Carlos and I put it.
Well, I haven't met Carlos yet, but I know I like what Frank says. So I'm gonna be on your side. Tell Carlos.
Fuck Carlos. Fuck that guy.
Who is this?
I mean, look, we'll have a show on a Friday night one day.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. I'd be totally down.
Yeah.
Do you happen to want to, Emmett, switch to either logistics side of Carlos' background or his journey there too, or his cube?
Do you like talking about freight?
Freight.
I've been doing it for years, man. I can talk about it all day.
You guys want to talk about freight, the Cuban background, and or the path to that journey of the career?
I think it's funny to talk about freight.
Let's talk about freight. So tell us about freight.
So freight forwarding is a term we hear. I understand like container boxes going on a semi truck and getting on a ship and getting shipped around. What is freight forwarding as opposed to just shipping something from here to there?
I'm the person that makes it happen. In the sense where, let's say you have a box. We're going to use a container in this sense. You tell me, hey, this is what I want to ship. I want to ship it ocean. And I want to ship it to, let's say, Europe.
London.
That's fine. Not a problem.
I got a box full of microphones and car wash supplies, and I want it to go from here in Vegas. I want to get it from Vegas to London. How am I going to get it? Well, so I need you to get it there as efficiently and cheaply or as quickly. I got to tell you are those the parameters?
Pretty much. Now, there's two ways of taking it.
Yeah.
You either go ocean, all right, and depending on how fast you need it, you go air. Okay. Now, if I send it air, I could get it there somewhere between 2 to 4 days.
Okay.
Sometimes I could get it there within 24 hours. Depending on how much freight it is and where it's going. And how much time I have within the day. If you want it slow and cheap, then you're looking at taking it ocean. And that takes from here to Europe, you're looking at about, let's say from Vegas. If it's from Vegas, I got to get the container. Probably the container will go on the rail to Miami, and from Vegas, probably Houston.
Okay.
Still out of Houston, so you're looking at about a good 20 to 25 day transit. Yeah,
to get my small container from here. Well, I guess when I say small, not the 53 footer, right? Like a half container.
A 20-foot container.
Yeah. So from here to London, it's going to take me almost a month.
More or less.
Yeah.
More or less.
Okay.
Excuse my ignorance. So when you said freight forwarding versus freight, is there a difference? If someone says freight, that's just a trucking company versus?
No. What happens is this. When, I guess maybe because I'm in the field, you tell me freight and I'm going to associate it with freight forwarding. Freight, well, yes and no.
Okay.
Because freight is the actual cargo.
Okay.
Okay. A freight forwarder is the person that makes it happen. It's just like the freight forwarder is just like a broker, pretty much.
Okay.
Where I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up your cargo. You guys are my customer. You tell me, hey, I want this here. I want this. I want to go there. No problem. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get it from you, send it to where it has to go to. Now, whenever it gets to destination, it's going to go through my agent. Whoever my agent or forwarder is. If my company, let's say, is in Europe, okay, then we're going to go ahead and take it company to company. My company to to my company in Europe. Then they're gonna handle it and they give it to your end customer.
And is it correct that you know the players, right? You know the truck companies, you know the shipping companies, so you're gonna try to find an effective way to get that done for me. Okay.
Correct. Right. Obviously, it goes through me. So what happens is that you're only going to receive one bill, or one invoice.
Okay.
All right. I'm still going to charge you for picking up the container, loading the container, any trucking fees, and then getting the container to destination, your ocean rates. But in all that, there's different charges.
Yeah. So I get a bill from Frank, but if I'm going to send this 20-foot steel container from Vegas to London, what ballpark are we talking cost wise? Is this a $5,000 thing or a $15,000 thing, or what ballpark does it take to ship a container across the world effectively? Right. This is one continent to another.
Yeah. So without looking much into it,
just a guess, just a ballpark.
A ballpark, you're looking at about maybe between $3,000 to $6,000, more or less. And we're just talking, more or less. It might be a little more, it might be a little less. I mean, I think it's going to probably be a little more. It all really depends.
Yeah.
On the destination, what the rates are. Like I can tell you that.
Yeah.
If when you're shipping full container loads, it's
Yeah.
probably cheaper as when you're shipping an LCL load. An LCL load is less container load, meaning that you don't have enough cargo to fill a container. So we're going to consolidate all the cargo together. I'm going to consolidate it into a container, and I'm going to just charge you a volume rate, whether it's $2 per cubic meter.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes in. Now, when you're looking at air, depending on what your weight is, because air goes by kilos.
Do the ships not care about your weight?
They do.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about full containers, you're looking. When you're talking about containers, if you have I was about to say 20 gallon, a 20-foot container. So you're standardly looking at that. Your max weight on your containers are about between 20 to 25,000 pounds.
Well, so like a container full of bowling balls, is that going to cost more to ship than a container full of sponges?
What's the weight?
Yeah. Okay. So you got to add up the total weight.
I'm sorry. Okay. No. A container wise, it'll cost you the same.
Okay.
Because you're paying the actual container.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
when you go air, then they care about the weight.
Right. I mean, you are going to care about the weight.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's air, whether it's container, but the difference in that is that I'm going to charge you the same. If you tell me, hey, I want a 20-foot container, I'm going to charge you the same. Whether you're shipping a container full of bowling balls or you're or you're shipping feathers. Yeah. Because you're paying for the actual container there.
Okay.
Whatever the weight is, if you're overweight, then I'm gonna have to charge you an overweight fee. If you're underweight, obviously I'm still gonna say, okay, a container is $5,000.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's how that works.
So if I'm in a hurry and I want this to get there in like 4 days, then does this price like triple or quadruple or more than 10 times?
Oh yeah. It's gonna. You're looking at about. I could charge you. Let's see, Miami, Las Vegas. Let's just say it's an LCL load, just for shits and giggles. We're looking at. I'll bring your freight over.
Yeah.
From Las Vegas to Miami, and we're gonna say roughly you have 500 kilos, which is about 1,000 pounds. Just throw a number.
Yeah.
I charge you $250 per kilo, right, on the air freight. I'll charge you. Hold on. What was it? We said 1,000 kilos.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 1,000 pounds. Yeah.
1,000 pounds. All right, let's go higher, because if we're gonna compare it to a container's 20 about. Okay, so the container. Let's just say your container had 15,000 pounds, right?
Sure.
So you have 15,000 pounds. 6. So that's math. So that comes out to about 6,800 kilos.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna round it to 600, 800 kilos. I'm gonna charge you air freight $250.
Sounds expensive already.
That's already $17,000.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now you're gonna add a trucking fee on that. I'm gonna. Let's see. We said 6,000. We said 16,000. No, sorry. We said we're at 6,000 kilos, right?
Yeah.
So That's about half a truckload. I'll put a half a truckload at about from here to there. We could probably do that for about $800. So right there, you're looking at $17,800. Now it comes into my warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. Once it comes into my warehouse, then I'm going to charge you a fee for that. I'm going to charge you an in and out fee. That could be, I could charge you 2 cents a kilo. You know, so the math, you know, when you're looking at sending stuff that high, that value, and you want it fast, it's going to cost money.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's pricey.
So unless it's super valuable, you want to go by sea.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, it's more the urgency.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, is that to the door of the business? So say Emmett had that stuff to send. Oh no.
Depends. Again, if you want it to the door of the business, I could get it there.
How much extra for? Or I guess that depends on the distance. So
no, that depends on the rates overseas.
So you're gonna find a trucking company in London that can pick it up at the airport, or at the the shipping container dock, right?
Right. What happens is that I go ahead and I use, again, if I had, let's say my company's in London, I'm going to use my company in London, and I'm going to say, hey, look, I need you to quote me, a pickup of a container, going to so and so address. Yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
And then, but mind you, there's also customs duties you got to pay.
Yeah.
So the like I could charge you an export rate, from let's say door to port, and then your customer could go ahead and, depending on his wants or his needs, you could tell him, okay, I'll put it door to port. You take care of all your prices on that end.
Yeah.
And that's where.
Do you accept Bitcoin for payment?
From your perspective of seeing the cost of all this stuff, do you look at, say, if I bought this on Amazon for, I think it was $7, do you look at it kind of differently from your perspective, thinking that this probably came from China, the shipping costs or anything, or?
Are you always thinking about shipping? Do you dream about container ships?
No, man. I'll tell you that I leave work and I try not to think about how anything gets here, how it shipped. Now, I will tell you this: when I'm told that my case or a phone case coming from wherever it's coming from, will get here within 7 to 8 days, because that's the only way it could get here, I'm going to call you out on your crap. Because I know how long things take to get here. I know, I know when there's a delay in transit as to why there's a delay in transit. There's not a lot that you could tell me as far as, oh, well, it got delayed because really bad weather. That's believable.
Yeah.
But you can't give me that excuse for 3 days straight. You can give me that excuse one day.
Is there any crazy stories of like a freight train hitting an ice cream truck and getting derailed?
No, I've never heard that one. I could tell you that I did work at the airport at one point,
Yeah.
and I was a certified loadmaster.
Loadmaster.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, I
Nice.
did see a couple things where I saw the damage that a bird could do to a plane.
A damaged bird?
Like a bird flying through the engine?
The bird flying through the engine, the bird actually hitting part of the plane. I saw a bunch of things that you're like, wow, that could really happen.
Bird strike.
A bird strike. It's, you look at it.
That's what they call
I don't
it.
think it was intentional. Oh, that's what they call it.
That's what they call it, yeah.
That is what they call it.
It makes it sound like the bird's like aiming for the airplane.
Yeah.
Hey, so recently, just a couple months ago, there was a big container ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yes.
So you're kind of in that business. Was there any fallout or any effect on what you do?
I really didn't see much of an effect, just for the fact that for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been dealing mainly with a lot of air cargo. I've been dealing with a lot of ocean.
Get the expensive shit.
Yeah. But I haven't really, I didn't see much of an issue here. But again, I haven't been dealing with that aspect too much of it either. So
Gotcha.
So I don't think there was much of, I did get stuck, but
yeah, I mean it was temporary, but
but I think that ship was stuck for for a while.
Yeah, at least a week or two. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were running like a running tally of all the goods that weren't shipping and how much economic cost was accruing. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think on that was like a lot of toilet paper stuff.
Oh, really?
I think that's what it was. I remember seeing something on that.
It's always a fucking toilet paper problem.
Question: throughout the pandemic, did you guys also have issues with toilet paper too out there?
Oh yeah. As you go into Walmart or Target, yeah, it was all empty.
But it was more of a hoarding panic, not a real shortage.
No, that's exactly what it was. I mean, I flipped when with the whole pandemic stuff first started, and I didn't take it as a joke, but I was like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. What could you do, And I remember going to Walmart because we were literally out of toilet paper. We're like,
you didn't plan to go for a month.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So we got to Walmart and I looked at my wife. I'm like, there's no toilet paper. And then we see this long line of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's this line for? Oh, toilet paper and paper towels.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. Well, time to wait a line.
Yeah. Were they only doing like one per person or something?
Oh, correct. It didn't matter what they gave you, whether it was a 4-pack or whether it was a 12-pack. It didn't matter. That's what you got.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? I don't know you right now. Just stand right
Yeah. We're not in the same household.
Yeah. Listen, they gave me a 4-pack. They gave her a 12-pack.
Oh, you don't get to choose. It was like a random.
No. It was like, here you go. This is what you get.
Oh, that's smart, man.
I was like, this is all we get. We better make it last. I was like, just one square per wipe.
Our buttholes are separate while we're in this line.
Yes.
Yeah, I could tell you, we didn't panic, but it got to a point where the stores were out. So, for I want to say a month or two, like you go to the store for groceries, but you check and then the whole aisle's empty. So, we had a Costco pack, so we were okay for a while, but you start thinking like, well, if it ain't never available, I'm going to run out at some point. So I think there was some point, maybe 2 months in, where we happened to stop into a CVS, which is kind of like a corner, farms. Yeah. So we stopped in a CVS and they had, I think like a 6-pack at some ridiculous price, like $15. I'm like, well, we got to do it. It's like I would never pay.
Yeah, the price gouging was crazy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I would never do this in normal times, but this is the chance,
Yeah, well, I will tell you that I was lucky enough, since I am a veteran. I started shopping online at the PX.
Ah, okay.
You know, and I looked at my wife and said, "Look, I'm gonna do what I don't want to do,
Yeah.
but I have no other choice. Was to order as much as I can, because you know what? If you run out and then we don't have, then what?
Yeah.
So it's like I was forced to stockpile because people were stockpiling themselves, and I wasn't gonna have.
Yeah.
You know, so I bought a lot. I bought about. No,
You're the problem.
Hey, I'll say it. I ended up buying. No, but I'm gonna tell you where I wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
I ended up buying about $100 worth of it, if not more.
Okay.
So I mean, I had boxes in my house, and I'm like, all right, great. Now,
Yeah, secure.
Right now, if you didn't have, and I had, I'll give you a pack. I didn't worry about that. I got friends when I do it. I don't have shit. I don't have no toilet paper. I was like, don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah, that's great.
Boom. You know, but I mean, I had toilet paper for a while there until finally it got normalized. But you know what? I still buy online. Like, okay, you know what? Just buy it at the PX. It's cheaper. Boop, 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 boop. There's what I want.
So that change caused a new toilet paper buying behavior for you. Like now you keep buying.
I buy it online. I buy it at the PX. And look, I bought that. I went crazy buying hand sanitizer. I started buying all these vitamin C's, all these emergencies, all that stuff, just to have in case, or so we don't get sick.
You know what we should have done? We should have ordered the newspaper because they'll deliver that to your door. And if you're in a pinch, you could use a newspaper.
Yeah, definitely.
We get a newspaper a day. Do they still do that these days? I don't know.
I think they do.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they do, but it's not as much as they used to.
My mom, she found this breakfast joint she likes, and it's kind of older people that go to this breakfast joint. And in that breakfast joint, this is a couple weeks ago, we saw two dudes reading actual newspapers, and it's so weird nowadays because everybody else has replaced it with their cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I think when you mentioned that, right next to that guy was a lady on her tablet. It looked like she was reading her news, if you remember that.
Yeah.
No, it's super crazy what technology has done to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm one that when people ask me what's wrong with society today, my answer is technology.
Yeah. Yeah, but your show's going out on Facebook, man. You're going to be on Twitch next week.
Yeah, I know. I mean, hey, look, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's good for some things.
Yeah.
You know, but for others, I think, you know, we live with this tracking device, as I call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we're always on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, you no longer.
You're knocking over all your vitamin C's there, man.
No, I have a plug in my hands. You know, and I'm just.
Because you're addicted to your devices.
Probably. I'm too used to having things in it's crazy.
I think we all are, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so it's pretty crazy on what we've come accustomed to.
With your time in the Army, were you doing freight stuff in the Army, or were you shooting bazookas, or what was your gig?
I was an infantry soldier. I was a grunt.
Yeah, the core. Well, not the core. I can't say that. The foundation of the Army is a man with a gun.
Yeah, I was what is now it's an 11 Bravo. I was 11 Mike, meaning that I was mechanized infantry.
Okay.
I rode around, you know, to get from point A to point B, like the long hauls. I rode around in the back of a Bradley tank.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know? Or what is it? Armored fighting vehicle, if I remember correctly, the acronym for it.
Yeah. Yeah. To a civilian, it would look like a tank, but
right.
Yeah. So it's got the tank treads for instead of wheels.
Correct.
But it's for carrying troops. Yeah.
Correct. I rode around in the back of one of those, which was good.
Yeah.
In some cases, I always said that to me it was like it was a death trap because this is the thing, you had your driver.
Yeah.
You had your gunner. I don't remember the other position what it was called.
Yeah.
All right, and then you had your troop carrier would carry another 6 people. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're looking at a total of 9 people in that in that one Bradley tank.
Yeah.
You shoot it down. Guess what? You just killed 9 soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are rockets and missiles and things that can take out.
Of course.
What an armored vehicle. Yeah.
Correct. So you're looking at 9 soldiers right there, right off one hit.
Yeah.
What years were you
I did from 96 to 99.
Did you ever end up deploying anywhere? That's a short stint, right?
No, yeah, I did a short stint. I was supposed to go to Bosnia for 8 months, but all that managed to not play out for the fact of when I was already getting out. You know, I made a decision not to re-enlist.
Yeah.
You know, so I we're supposed to go, and they're like, well, it makes no sense to send you to Bosnia if you're gonna get out, and this is, you know, this is almost a year tour. I had 8 months left. They're like, nah, just
Well, thank you for the time you served. I think America's servicemen and women, it's a great sacrifice to be willing to fight for all of us. So it's wonderful to have the best military servicemen and women on earth. It's really cool.
You know, I'm going to give you a little insight on that. You know, when people tell me thank you for my service,
I
have a different view on it. You know, and just for the fact that I was one of the lucky ones to not go anywhere. You know, and even though I know that my military friends that did go places tell me I'm wrong for thinking the way I think. But you know what? I went nowhere. I'm not the one to think, you know, to thank. You know, they are. You know, I stayed back. I gave them my moral support, you know, my friends. You know, and for me, it's one of those that I have a hard time hearing that, believe it or not, because I did my time. I'm always going to be a soldier because my mind thinks that way regardless, you know, that I did 3 years compared to a person that's a lifer. You know, but to me, it's one of those things where I feel I shortchange people that tell me thank you because I signed up to fight for this country. I didn't fight for this country. I mean, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're saying you didn't make a huge sacrifice. You know, you didn't.
Right. You know, and. Like,
but I do think you did sign. You know, you made that commitment that, you know, the day you finished basic, if they deployed you the next day, you would have gone.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would have gone.
So I think that willingness, that commitment, that dedication, you offered yourself to that sacrifice.
Right.
You didn't have to, you didn't have to cash in on it, but
true.
you know, for 3 years you were there for us.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you do deserve it. You know.
Thank you. That's good to hear. A different point of view on that one.
I think that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, he was standing on the ready line for us.
I was, man.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, look at me. I never signed up. You know, like I thought about it, and I thought, well, shit, I don't think I can do push-ups and running before breakfast. That sounds pretty terrible.
Let me tell you something. I will tell you this. I went in. I was 21 going on 22, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And at 21 years old, I was like, I'm in good shape. I mean, I drank, I smoked.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those, like, I'm in good shape. I could run a mile. I could run 2 miles. Not a problem. I could run fast. I'll be all right. When I first got to basic training, when they put me to run that 1 mile, I had, in order to qualify to stay in basic training, I had to do 1 mile in under 19 minutes.
Okay. Yep.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. 10-minute miles is pretty good for like an in shape person, right?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. I did my 1 mile in about 18 minutes. Okay? So I was like, I'm so out of shape. And I kid you not, I thought I wasn't gonna make it. You know, because your final test and it you know, your final PT test pretty much I had to run 2 miles within 13 minutes.
Yeah.
I believe I had to do 40 push-ups, and it was, I think, and I believe sit-ups were 45 sit-ups.
Okay.
In less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't have problems with the push-ups.
Yeah.
I didn't have problems with sit-ups. My problem was that run. I was like, nah. And I'll tell you, it got me in the best shape that I was ever in my life.
Nice.
When I did those, you know, my final PT test, you know, I did those last 2 miles that I ran.
Yeah.
I did a total, I think I ran in like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So
that's awesome.
I increased my time. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Look at this. You know, so that was pretty.
It's a good chow, man. They give you that food in the Army. No. Get you all fired up, right?
No.
It's not the food?
No, the food really sucked. That chow was horrible. You know, I'm not sure how it is now, but it was horrible. Horrible.
Back in the 90s. Back in my day.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
From what I got from my buddies that were lifers.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them got out. They're like, you know what? Things have changed. It's time when we first started.
So you're a Cuban American heritage. Were you born in the U.S.?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's no trouble enlisting if you're born in the U.S.
No, and even if you're not born in the U.S., you can still enlist. You just got to become a citizen.
Gotcha.
You know, somewhere within your time frame.
Oh, after you join.
Correct. Right. I had a buddy of mine who I met him the day we left.
Yeah.
You know, we left to basic training together, and he was born in Cuba.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I just have to become a citizen while I'm still in.
That's cool.
And that's what he did. Became a citizen.
Yeah. Hey, I think if you're willing to fight for this country, that should earn you some citizenship.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That I really agree with that.
So on the Cuban thing, so let me tell you what I love about culture and people is when I sit down and have their food, and if they invite me into their house, to me, that's probably the most beautiful experience. I love that. So when I talk to people, if I could ask about their culture, what stereotypes they could break for me, as in if there's something that I've heard that I don't know about that culture, if they could break that, either say it's right or wrong. I love that. If they could tell me something about their culture that not too many people know about. So that's kind of when I think about cultures, that's what I want to get into. So in the Cuban culture, is there any stereotypes that you hear that you hate or that are not correct? Stereotypes, maybe.
They always tell me I got the wrong flag. My Puerto Rican friends tell me They tell me I got the wrong flag. I got the wrong colors on my flag.
Oh,
they're backwards. When you look at the Cuban flag and the Puerto Rican flag, their color schemes are different.
Gotcha.
You know, no, but that's just me talking crap. Hopefully, my Puerto Rican flag, you know, the Cuban flag is the number one to go. No, you know, but I don't. To me, it's more when you. One of my pet peeves is when you not compare me, but you confuse me for. Yeah, he's Mexican.
Yeah.
You know, you confuse that. Yeah, okay, just because I'm Hispanic doesn't mean I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
You know, I'm Cuban. I'm not Colombian. I'm not Argentinian.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those where, you know, you could say that you have a Chinese person, you have a Vietnamese person.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you know what? You're all Chinese. It doesn't matter what part of Asia you're from. You're all Chinese. It's the same thing. You know, that's one of those things that gets me. Yeah. You know, and I'm the first one to tell you, no, I'm Cuban.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any? Is there a current? Well, so yeah. So I'm 44. So I grew up. Cuba was kind of isolated in those times, right? There wasn't a lot of communication or travel between Cuba and the U.S. except if you're trying to escape, right? People would escape from Cuba and land in Florida.
Is that like the 70s and 80s? Or are you talking about?
no, that's,
Yeah. As I was growing up.
yeah,
And,
about you're looking, yeah, on that case.
Yeah. So that's different now, right? Not a whole lot different.
It's not a whole lot different. I mean, I know at one point you were able to, and I think I think Donald Trump was the one that put a stop to it. If I remember correctly. With Obama, if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
with him, he made it okay to fly between the States and Cuba.
Yeah, like people were excited to go visit Cuba like a tourist.
Right. Before that,
Okay.
before the Obama years, you
Yeah.
could still fly to Cuba,
Yeah.
but it was super expensive.
Yeah.
There obviously weren't many flights. And for a long time is you want to fly to Cuba, okay, you have to fly through a different airport. You can't fly out of the United States directly. I traveled to Cuba as a child, and I remember, we flew directly into Cuba. I don't know how my mom got the tickets or how it went.
Yeah.
But she was, we were able to fly directly at that time. I know somewhere along the way, I don't remember when they stopped flights altogether. I think Donald Trump also stopped the flights into Cuba. One of the things that Cubans had that a lot of these, a lot of immigrants didn't have at the time was that dry foot, wet foot policy.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, it doesn't matter how you arrive as a Cuban, whether you arrived on a boat, whether you jumped the border wall, or you crossed the border, or you swam across the river. It doesn't matter how you got here. Once you landed, I see political asylum.
Yeah. Is it something where you got to get like 30 feet in off the beach or something?
No,
some kind of
the minute you touch U.S. soil,
okay,
that's it. I mean, now that changed. Now they're starting to send everybody back.
Oh yeah.
And I think rightfully so, in a sense. I agree, but I don't agree. But at the same time,
that's curious.
Well, yeah, because look, part of me doesn't agree because do I have family in Cuba? Yeah, I do. Do I talk to them? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Would I like them to make it over here? I say yes. But at the same time, when you look at all these other cultures or all these other immigrants that are not Cuban that come over here illegally, they do what? They send them back. So why are Cubans any better?
Oh, interesting. So you're saying you would love for Cubans to be able to have the chance to come to America, but you think it's unfair that Cubans get a different policy than other countries.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, presumably the big one for us in the U.S. here is Mexico, right? We share a border.
Right.
And yeah, if you come across the border illegally, you're not automatically okay once you cross the border. You still got a lot of trouble and a lot of ways to get sent back.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, that's one of those where, yeah, I want them here, but at the same time, you got to go through the right channels.
So presumably the U.S. gives some allocation or some route for Cubans to come here. Does the Cuban government that's currently there, do they not want anybody leaving, or what would you describe the situation as? If you're a dude in Cuba and you're like, well, I wish I could go to the U.S., is that a realistic possibility, or is it just like a fever dream?
As far as them leaving Cuba,
yeah,
permanently, the government's not gonna let you do that. I mean, now they let you fly out. In case of humanitarian issues, or you had a relative that died, depending on who the person is.
Oh.
A lot of it has to do very politically entwined. And it already depends on who the person is, on how, on what their family did for the regime.
I see.
When it first started going, if you're, let's say, your grandfather was part of a coup that tried to kill Fidel Castro, when he first took over, and your family's still in Cuba, they're not going to let you come over here. Why? Because that person that tried to kill Fidel Castro is probably already gone, right? Left the island. So they're going to punish you guys. They're going to punish your family. Saying, nope, sorry, you're not going to be reunited. So, unfortunately, what's the way of these people leaving?
Gotta escape, right?
They gotta escape. They gotta build their rafts. And let me tell you, there was one on that I saw the other day on one of these social media outlets. I was like, wow, they build. They're still building, and they're trying to flee still. The ones that make it here, hey, great, you made it. Now you got to figure out how you're gonna stay.
Yeah.
And I think let's see, in the 80s, we had the Mario boat lift, which is where Castro went ahead and emptied out his prisons and sent them over here. I'm sure you guys seen the movie Scarface.
Yeah.
Okay. So Montana came to throw out the Mario boat lift.
Okay.
Okay. Now, throughout that time of that boat lift, they released a lot of convicts, that were in prisons, send them this way. Why? He wanted to empty out his prisons. And then that was there. And then in the 90s, we still had kind of, we had another rush of Cubans that were coming in, on a regular basis, constant. But you still had, at that point, you still had your wet foot, dry foot policy.
And that's a tough situation, man.
It is. It's a real tough situation. I know that just me, I won't travel to Cuba.
Yeah.
Regardless if I have family there. I mean, I went as a child because I didn't know any better.
Right. You don't get any choices.
Right. I mean, and knowing, the thing is, as a child, I didn't know my complete family history when it came down to not why my dad left, because I always knew why they left, but how much they're really against the regime.
Okay. Yeah.
So, once I learned that, I'm like, I'm never, as long as Cuba is under a dictatorship, I will not give them not one penny. I don't care.
Would you say that in general, the Cuban American sentiment tends to be very anti-dictatorship, right? So very pro-American, very patriotic, pro-democracy, anti-whatever's going on in Cuba. Does it end up having a political influence on the Cuban American population, or is that too broad of a generalization?
No. On the very old school Cubans, and what I mean is more of my dad. I mean, because I think that's the main generation. I mean, my dad's in his 70s now, so looking at that old school Cubans, the Cubans that have come, or the Cubans that grew up in it.
Yeah.
They're hardcore Republicans. They to them, the Democrats are all socialists and all communists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me being the fact that I grew up here, so I never lived that.
Yeah.
So I'm not of that breed.
Oh, you're soft.
I guess. I mean, look, to my dad, we're on totally different ends of of political fields.
Yeah.
But I tell my dad, I'm like, hey, look, I understand your point.
Yeah.
You grew up in that. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I grew up differently. I
Yeah.
tell him, I said, I know of what you've told me,
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen, what I've read. I know the struggles that our family went through because of why? Because of what you told me. Because of what my aunt has told me, because of what my uncle had told me, because of what my grandfather has said. So I know the stories, and I understand. I understand that you wanted to fight for people. I understand that you disappeared for 6 months training. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't my life. That was your life. My life is here. So I've grown up in the system here.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes understands. Sometimes he doesn't want to understand.
I feel like there's some parallels there when you talk about your father and then my dad. Like, my dad is so. I understand the North Vietnam, and he's against it because of communism, but it's weird. I don't know. He doesn't want us to take a step back and look at the big picture, how America came in and how that all worked out. Like, he went so Republican with his view, where I feel like he's so hardcore one way, and he's not looking at the whole picture. I don't know. It gets him pretty in depth, and I'd have to break it down quite a bit. And I don't think we got time. I got a final question section that I want to ask you, and then
so the hot seat questions.
But so anyways, there's parallels. So hopefully we get to do this talk again, and we will open. Go back and forth on this. I see there's certain parallels where it's interesting to see the struggles of you trying to understand your dad and your dad not understanding you. That's the same thing with me and my dad. I'm not. I think we both, or I think even when you say it, I see the pain and suffering that my dad went through. I see the pain and suffering that in the family that's there in Vietnam. I'm not saying one's wrong or the other. I just want people to understand more before judging each other. It's just
right. But what the issue there is this. My dad. He majority of his childhood to his, I want to say his teenage years,
mm-hmm.
he grew up in a free Cuba.
Yeah.
Okay, so he grew up, he knew Cuba when it was free.
Yeah.
There wasn't a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
So while his time there, it became that dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
So his thing was that he was gonna fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather obviously, grew up in a free Cuba.
Yeah.
So he was very hardcore. My grandfather was part of the military in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
My dad joined a militia group.
Mm-hmm.
To go free Cuba. And when we tell you that my dad disappeared for, if I remember the story correctly, it was almost for a year.
Was he in a prison, or what was the?
No. He went to train.
Oh, I see.
He went out of the country to train.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The plan was to try to assassinate Castro.
Oh.
A lot of people wanted to do that. They wanted their home back. So, I could understand my dad's point of views.
Mm-hmm.
And why he's hell-bent the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when you have the younger generation of Cubans, and I'm talking about probably a little bit younger than I am, people that were about my age, people that were already born into that dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Their mentality is very different.
Right. Because you didn't lose the dream.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, And I think that's probably what happens with your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take us into the final question section, which is about 5 or 6 questions. And we got about 22 minutes. We're going to try to let Emmett get out of here by 9. So first question, what great daily habits do you have?
My great daily habits?
What great daily habits do you have?
He's checking his kid's homework now.
No more.
Oh, summertime. Gotcha.
It's summertime. Look, you know what?
Okay.
I gotta take care of my bearded dragon on a daily basis.
Is that like an iguana, or what are we talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Bearded dragons. It's like an iguana.
Oh, awesome.
You know, that is one of my things that I've had to get accustomed to. You know, pretty much just.
So Frank's down in Florida. It's not too weird to have an iguana down there.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not
all
at
right.
all. You know,
it's kind of normal.
Daily habits really, besides your regular stuff, just going to work and stuff like that. My life is very plain. I don't do nothing crazy. Yeah.
Routine. Kind of you mentioned earlier, routine.
Yeah. I'm just stuck in that routine of go to work, take care of the family, make sure everybody's, so.
Cool. I'll take that. Okay. Next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
Oh.
Well,
my favorite topic.
I can tell you that I should have invested back in 2009, 2010.
2009. Jeez, that's like the white paper of Bitcoin.
So, I don't know a whole lot about it. The little bit that I do know is that I think we're going to turn into that eventually. I have a couple of investments here and there. Right now, I can tell you that it just went down.
Yeah.
But I see it as like I have a long-term investment in one where I'm like, okay, well, I haven't really lost money because it's gone down, but I bought it dirt cheap, so I haven't lost money. All you're giving me now is leverage to buy more.
Nice.
And invest a little more. So I play around with it, like with the Dogecoin.
Yeah.
I made some money off of that. I took my winnings on that, and I threw it into my long term.
Nice.
What's your long term, if you don't mind me asking?
XRP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, those are the only two I really know about. I don't know about anything else. My brother turned me on to TRX, and I wanted to kill him because I lost but I learned to invest money that you could lose.
Yes. Disposable income.
I will never invest what I can't lose. If I know that I got $10 left and I gotta pay whatever I gotta pay, I'm gonna go pay whatever I gotta pay.
What platform did you use to buy your cryptocurrency on?
I used I think it's Uphold. Is it called?
I don't know that one.
Okay.
Do you know that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Uphold. That's what I use.
Kind of similar to like a Venmo or a Cash App.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I wouldn't say they're close to like a Vanguard or a maybe PayPal, but not like a.
So they're more for payment transfers and.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't put it in the category of Robinhood. Does Uphold allow you to buy stocks? I don't think so, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have Robinhood. I haven't really played around too much with it. I mean, I don't know a lot about it. Yeah. I am people that I trust start talking to me about it. Hey, look, you should try this one, do this. And I take their advice. If I win, great. If I lose, you know what? At the end of the day, it's money.
It was disposable.
It was disposable.
Yeah.
It's like going to the casino and I'm going to play $200, let's say. That's disposable money. If I win, great. If I lose,
Yeah, I'm huge into cryptocurrency. If you ever want to talk about or ask for any advice, I'm a software engineer, so I'm biased on the technology side.
Right.
But I think it's going to change the world. This code is the best it's the best thing. It's like the culmination of the internet. That's how big it is in my mind. My biggest pick would be Ethereum. I think XRP is in one of my categories. I have like 5 categories I invest in, and XRP is in one of them. But I think Ethereum is going to be the hopefully the winning horse, or one of the biggest horses in the end. So, all right, let's jump to the next question. What's the biggest problem for humans? What should they do to fix it?
The biggest problems for humans.
Let's get heavy on you.
You know what? And I go back to what I said earlier. Technology. You get everything. You get everything at the spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more of that. Oh wait, I have to wait to get home to watch the news or watch a TV show. You know what? I could be in my car. I put my phone right by the speedometer. All right. Because I'm always looking at the speedometer and I'm looking up, right? Because you always want to see how fast you're going. You have your show on Bluetooth, so you're hearing it through the car, and you're just doing this. Driving, looking up and down. So to me, technology.
Do you think it's getting to like kind of an overwhelming state that's kind of changing who we are and turning us into, weird?
I think so, because obviously I grew up without technology. I grew up at the very beginning of all this having a phone. I mean, my dad had a cell phone. My dad had those nice white brick cell phones.
Yeah.
Back in maybe late 80s or mid 80s to early 90s,
Is he a drug dealer or what?
I don't know. He might have been. I don't know. But
revolutionary fighter.
Who knows, man? Maybe. But I think as a whole, for us, is we go nowhere without these phones. I actually.
Yeah.
I got to work the other day and I realized damn, I left my phone at home.
Oh, you got to go back home.
At one point, I was like, I'll be okay. I'm not going to need it.
Yeah.
And I was at work. And I looked at my boss. I said, dude, I'll be back in an hour. And what? I said, I need my phone and go home.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
Yeah.
I drove home, got my phone, and right back to work.
Yeah, we are so attached to these things. That is absolutely true. I'm always double checking, make sure I don't leave somewhere without it. Like I leave a restaurant, make sure I didn't leave it on the table. I check my pocket when I walk out the door.
I will forget my wallet before I forget my phone.
It's a terrible choice to have to make.
My optimistic view is I agree with you right now. My optimistic view is I think we're in a weird point in time where this technology is just flooding in and giving us all these different opportunities, things that we don't know, as in we don't know ourselves. And I think things like Twitter, Facebook, it's creating a portal into seeing how fucked up humans are. And once we're able to kind of manipulate that situation, understand it, and hopefully we will use this technology to the better of us and not against each other. But I think we're a little bit further away from that. That's my hope. Yeah. All right. Next question. What's your favorite food?
Wow. My favorite.
He likes chicken and waffles and watermelon. Macaroni
while
and
watching
cheese.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, right. Actually, I love chicken wings.
Yeah.
Okay. What flavor?
I like lemon pepper.
Nice.
I actually funny enough, I had a barbecue by my dad's house for Father's Day.
Nice.
And my dad finally officially gave me the reins as the person in charge of barbecuing at the house now.
Oh, you're the man.
So it's gonna be wings every time now.
Well, they tend to all love my wings.
Oh.
I get my own seasonings. Just fresh. I would go ahead and cut up onions, peppers, garlic.
Oh, you're putting some love into this.
Oh yeah, cilantro. And I'll get a cooking wine or sometimes just a regular red wine.
Yeah.
And a little bit of mojo, which is Cuban seasonings that come in a little bottle. A little bit of that. Pour half a bottle of wine in it, and I let it sit. I let it marinate for about a good 24 hours.
Nice.
I do that.
Sounds delicious.
Oh yeah. Well, my mom, my parents are divorced, so on Sunday I dropped off my son and my niece and nephew at my mom's, and we had a bunch of food left over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mom, here, feed the kids tomorrow. I don't want to see this. Because when I barbecue, I have it right here stuck in my nose, and I don't eat. I don't want to see it. I don't want to smell it. It's just I can't.
Oh.
I'm there barbecuing, and I'm eating at the same time. So
yeah, we gotta make sure it's good.
You're right, exactly. But I took it to my mom's, and about maybe an hour or so later, my mom's like, "Who marinated these wings?" I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Are they good?" She's like, "They're great." I said, "I did." She's like, "Oh,
that's not lemon pepper flavor, though, right? What do you call that?
That's not lemon pepper. That is Frank's special seasonings.
This is the Frank Cuesta special.
Yes, it is.
Gotcha.
It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Next question. Think of at least two friends that should do this conversation. Call them out. So the only difference I would say, our conversation ended up being a little bit shorter. We did your show for an hour. We did this for about probably about an hour and a half by the time we're done. So normally this is for 3 hours, which I think if you're willing to do a 3 hour session next time, maybe you and Carlos, or if Carlos wants to do solo, it's up to you guys. But I think that'd be a fun dynamic.
I can tell you that with Carlos, it'll be very hard to get a 3 hour session.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
With Carlos, it'll be very hard just for the fact that his biggest issue is that he has a 9-month-old, I think his baby is.
Yeah.
So it's super hard for him to do, a 3 hour. For me, really, again, it's midnight here, and I normally today I do the hard hitting wrestling show and my show. So I'm already on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
An extra hour is not a big deal. Normally my show goes about an hour and a half, depends.
We got tired, Frank, right now.
No, you know what?
Are you a wild man when you start?
Just the same way I am now.
Okay.
You're
good.
Yeah, I'm good. So your question was,
name two friends that should do this conversation.
Oh yeah, who would you recommend for this show? Yeah.
Oh my God, I would recommend Ovi Muniz.
Oh,
definitely.
awesome.
He was
Ovi.
Yeah, he was commenting on the show earlier tonight.
When he asked about what I know about wrestling, what was that? Because does he do some type of podcast or something, or?
Well, right, yeah. Ovi is he's the host of the Hard Hitting Wrestling Show. So yeah, he's the host of that. So that's why I was asking, because I think we mentioned something about it, and it was like, oh wait a minute, this guy might know wrestling. So we're always looking for other people just to join us, just conversation.
Nice.
And I will say the other one would be Carlos, but we gotta try to get Carlos on for at least an hour.
Yeah. We'll aim for an hour.
Yeah, or we'll meet Carlos on your show. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Final question, but 8 minutes, so you got a lot of time. Tell me in a few sentences or less what this conversation was like. If you've done a podcast or interview before, describe the biggest difference. I may use this answer in a video collage for new potential guests.
Oh, he's definitely done some podcasts before.
Oh, definitely. Besides just the ones that I normally do, the biggest difference is that I kind of already knew a little bit of some of the questions you're gonna come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be very honest with you. When I saw your sheet, I looked at it, and obviously my thought now is a little different. I was like, what do these clowns want me to do? No, I can do that because I had never seen that.
Yeah.
And, I was like, nuts.
I love
But
it.
I kind of understood it after I let it marinate there for a little while, because notice I saw it and I just stayed quiet for a couple days. I was like, huh?
Yeah. I've had a variety of responses. I've had one person, she said, "What is this, homework? Why do I need homework to get onto your show?" And I just said politely, I was like, "Well, you're advertising something. I want to know that you have enough content to talk about it for 3 hours. I want a show that teaches people and not just advertising for 3 hours." And then she was like, "No, I'm done. I'm not going to do your show." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah, I mean, look, I think to each its own on that.
Yeah.
I looked at it. I said, all right, well, I'm going to give them a paragraph or two on who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that would probably be sufficient enough.
Yeah.
And I think that in your guys' case, or actually just in general, it's always good to know who you're talking to.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why before I jump on a show or I have someone come on my show, if I speak to you, via phone, via text, I'm already speaking to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm already getting a feeling of who you are, maybe not what you do, but what you're about, more or less.
Yep.
Right.
I did a podcast for, actually, I'm going to go back to the before question. I got another person that could read for you.
Oh,
Okay.
Roshni Hazawasa. She's
Roshni.
in France. She's in Sri Lanka.
Oh.
She has her podcast, which is Tao Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I had her on my show last week,
Mm-hmm.
and she would be good.
Oh, awesome.
She would be really, really good for you guys. I'll get a hold of her, and I'm gonna send her your info.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
She on Zoom, she'll do good. I had her on my show actually when I did my Wednesday show. The very first show I was gonna have her on.
Yeah.
Her internet sucked.
Oh no.
She just was frozen.
Uh,
And mind you, I had no backup plan.
that's
Because
right.
I had never run into a problem. So I was like, I'll be fine. I don't have a backup plan, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the live stream, there's no,
It's hard.
at least with mine, I post process afterwards. So whatever recording I get, then I chop it up. But with live stream, that's tough.
No, it was. Luckily, and we started having issues maybe like 5 minutes prior to the show going off. And I told Zach, the producer, I'm like, Zach, you might have to get on the show. He's like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, this is going to be Speaking It Real with Zach from CMG, from Clovercrest.
Hey, Zach, can you do a fake Roshni voice?
Look, it was one of those where, you know what? He brought in himself. We had the VP of Clovercrest Media Group come on, and an intern. So I tried to make something of a show.
Yeah.
Because I did my show, like the spreadsheet you saw, I do that for every single show.
Yeah.
On the one that you had today, you saw everything. All the topics, and there was links.
Mm-hmm.
But for Roshni in the first show, all I had were just Roshni, the name of her podcast, and just questions I was going to ask her. I had nothing else. I was like, oh God.
Oh, yeah.
And when that bombed, I was like, oh no. But
Yeah.
it's you live and you learn.
Yeah. For the questionnaire that I sent out, like you're saying, I want to get to know the person, because at least for you, I know you do podcasts. So I was able to view your what you talk about. So I knew you can talk. But I've had some people that answer the questionnaire and yet they get onto my show and they I ask what, where, how questions, and they somehow answer yes or no. And
Not someone that's just not paying attention. I mean, let's be real. If you're asking me a question, what, when, where, how, and I answer you no, means that I'm not paying attention to what the hell you're asking me.
Yeah. So that podcast, I kind of got an hour and a half of material out of 3. I scraped together what I could and just made the best of it.
Do you think it's a kind of stage fright of somebody knowing that they're being broadcast?
I don't know.
Look, I'll tell you something about me. If you put right now 100 people in front of me,
yeah,
I can't talk.
Yeah,
I can't talk.
Gotcha.
I've had it happen to me where I used to coach football.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we'll have a banquet.
Mm-hmm.
Me as the head coach of the team, I'll have to go up on a podium and talk to every fucking people that are there.
The whole crowd, man.
Right. I mean, I've always had that problem since I was a kid. I never liked standing up in class and talking. I never liked that. In that point of my life, I've never been able to overcome that.
I think it's a natural human thing to be stage fright. Like it's public speaking it's natural to be nervous.
No, yeah, but I'll tell you, and it happened to me. I took a couple classes in college where I had to set up and just make my presentation, and you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I will fail because I'll come up,
yeah,
and I'll just look at everybody.
Yeah,
I looked at the professor. I said, "I can do this. Goodbye," and I will walk out of class because I just couldn't do that. Now, you put me here in my comfort of my house.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess the mind works in different ways. Where at the end of the day, I'm talking to a bunch of other people. Yeah,
a lot of people are going to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's weird on how the mind works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
for me, is if by chance, if I happen to know a topic very well, and that's the thing I'm presenting, but if I know it really well, then I may not get nervous in front of 20, 40, 100 people, but I have to know it real well. If there's any bit of that I don't know, that I start sweating, I start my breathing, like I could feel my chest my heart coming out of my mouth, out of my throat. It's just crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. I had a job over here where I was the logistics manager for an educational company.
Oh, cool.
And we would transfer a lot of actually we'll go to different events, different shows, where we will have our setup and we will sell the product. And I remember once the owner comes to me, he goes, "Listen, I know you're our logistics manager and you move everything around, but push comes to shove, if I need you to make a presentation, can you do it?" I go, "Well," "No, I can't." He's like, "What?" I go, "I'm going to tell you why I can't." I go, "I know the product."
Yeah.
I go, "I could sit here and talk to you about it until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
But you and I are one-on-one. Put more than 4 people in front of me like this.
Yeah.
And I have to give a presentation. I'm done."
Yeah.
There's no way I can do that. And he's like, "Are you serious?" That I'm dead serious. I have to know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
If not, forget about it.
Us humans are a funny thing. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut this off. I want to let Emmett go on his appointment. Frank, this was a huge pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Great to meet you, yeah.
We got to do this again.
Cheers, brother.
Oh, let's do that again.
There it is. Ta-da.
Boom.